We okay. Now we are starting. I've just started recording. We're starting our lesson. Uh, we're starting with us. We are going to start a software called Adobe Illustrator. I'm using a version. I'm going to share here the screen. Up here, just a minute. Hope you're all seeing the software that I'm opening. The software we're going to study is called Adobe Illustrator. It's from Adobe Creative Suite. There are quite a number of softwares like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, After Effects, but Illustrator mainly is the software for illustrations and simple graphics, simple and professional graphics. So we are going to start with this. Just in case I'm too fast, someone can let me know, or maybe I'm too slow, someone can let me know, or audibility, you can always let me know and I try to adjust. So hope you're all seeing. I really love feedback. I really love feedback to know that we are on the same page. On my computer, I've opened up Adobe Illustrator. And when you open up the software, this is how it looks. It brings this kind of interface. The first interface that comes showing recent projects that you worked on. This is how it basically shows. So like I told you earlier on, as teachers, you need illustrations. And in this era where everything, where the copyright laws and everything is really strict, you need to have the knowledge to create your own content, to come up with your own ideas and conceptualize them and illustrate them and present them to your students. You really need that knowledge. I hope, I don't know if any of you has heard of this software. Anyone who has never heard of it? Anyone raise a concern? Mr. Steve?
Yes, yes, Jalil.
Yes. The audience is a bit quiet. I don't know if
Yeah,
they are following.
they just want you to go through the process of creating something.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
I believe each and everyone has heard of this
We are
software.
following.
Sorry? You are following, eh? That's
Yeah.
good. It's such a, right now it's a common software, though I've let it use not to be in the times of CorelDRAW, the old softwares that were used for
We are
illustrations.
following.
Okay, that's great. So let's proceed. When you open up Adobe Illustrator, this is how it looks. It opens up recent files that you've worked on. Of course, if you've never worked on any file from Illustrator, it won't show this. It will show a blank space. We are going to create a new document. Like in any other software, when you open up, you need to create a new document that you're going to use. And you need to set it up and you get ready to have something done. So we will come to create new. When you click on create new, it will bring you that small mini window that has a lot of buttons and some information that most of which means the same thing. So we are going to look at this mini window that happens when you press create new document. It will bring you this to this. It will bring you to this mini window that helps you to start up the document. So there are some details down here where we have preset details. We have width, we have the height, orientation, we have artboards, we have bleed. I'm going to show you what each of these shows. So Illustrator being a design or illustration illustrating software. Just as the name Adobe Illustrator, the name comes from being an illustration software. It works pretty simple for illustrations. So they will bring you default set sizes that you can use just in case you don't want something customized. We have here A4, we have custom 100 by 100 centimeters. We have they're all here A4, we have A3, we have so just in case you want to have something ready and you don't want to customize your document, you can click on any of these and start right away. But in case you want something customized, like you're trying to create a picture, but you want it in a specific size, you want it in a particular mode or particular orientation, you can come here on the side. We have the width and the height. This is your work area. You're trying to elaborate your work area, to mark your work area that you're going to use. In case you click any of this, you will see the units here will be changing. A4 is 21 by 29.7. So it's trying to show you we're in A4 because I've clicked A4. It's showing here 21 centimeters by 29 in portrait or in portrait format. When you click A3, it will adjust to 29.7. It will adjust to 42. I guess this area is understood. So from here, we want to customize our workspace. So if you want something specific, you will come and feed in your units here, your width. Let's say you want to work with 100 by 100. You'll choose the units that you want to use, either centimeters, millimeters, inches, pickers, points, pixels, depending on what you want to use. Most people like centimeters because that's the most common. Inches, people want inches, depending on what favors you. So at this point, we're going to do A4. I'll click on A4 and I'll need a landscape workspace. Artboards, an artboard is your workspace. Basically, in the layman's language, the blackboard where you teach from is your artboard, is where you put all your content for your students to see. You won't write on the wall, that is outside the artboard. Your blackboard is your artboard here in Illustrator. How many blackboards do you want? How many artboards do you want? At this point, by default, it will be in one, but you can adjust to as many as you want. However, you can still change after opening up the document. The bleed, this is the space on the side of your document. This will always be in 000. We can leave it out in 0. And I guess from here, you're good to go to create your new document. However, still, there are some advanced options that you may check from here or leave out later, or rather adjust later after opening up a document. You can choose a color mode from here. If for example, you're trying to design something for print, it is always advisable to have it done in CMYK color. The color is a bit faded on screen, but will come out in good quality on print. If you're trying to design something for web online, or you're trying to do something with soft copy, something for a phone, something you're going to use in social media, something you're going to use in a PDF document that you do not expect to print, yeah, you can design it in RGB color. So we'll choose any of this and we We proceed to the next one. We have raster effects. This is like resolution of your work. We'll leave it in high. Of course, we need a good resolution, and the higher it goes, the more the size of your documents. But it keeps the quality good when you leave it in high. The preview mode will leave it in default, the default preview mode of the software. I'll show you this. You can select just everything here after you open up the document. So without wasting time, we are going to proceed with this. So we'll come and create our new document. We'll give it time for it to create, and it will open up like this. To open up like this. This white paper-like background that you see is the blackboard that we chose. Is the artboard that we chose. Remember what I told you, that your artboard is your blackboard. This is the workspace that we've chosen. A4 landscape. This is what it is. So when you open up Illustrator, it will show you this. Let me first remove this. Okay, just like any other software, like the way you see Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, these softwares have what we call panels or tabs or sections or whatever you may call it. We have a section we have a section up here which has file, edit, object, type. Each section has a different uses, and each has different abilities on its own. We have the tools here, the tools panel. This panel consists of the tools that we use in creating our illustrations. Remember, this is an illustration software. It's Adobe Illustrator. So you need as many tools to create whatever you want to make your idea come to life. I'm basically going to take you through the tools panel. I'm going to take you through some of the tabs up here. We have some other tabs this side that consists of aligning. We have the gradients, we have strokes, we have character. There is a lot to do in here. Are we still on the same track? Anyone lost?
We are on.
You're on? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when you keep quiet, I feel like I'm talking rocket science. I want us to be on the same page. Yeah. Yeah, it's always good to be quiet if you're following. Someone might be off. So what do we start with? Since we're talking at we are going to look at how to have our work saved. Remember, when you open up a new document, make sure you save it first, because if you're working on a machine like a desktop and power goes off, you may lose whatever you have wasted time creating. So at first, we're going to look at how to save and have our work saved from the computer. So we're going to go to File, like in any other software. Save is usually a Control-S. Control-S to save, like in any other software. Most softwares you go to File and you'll see a save somewhere. That's the first thing we do. When we open up a new document, you're going to save this document. When you click on Save, maybe I was first, we go to File, you go to Save, and first save our work. It will bring this mini window that has saving options, where you choose the saving options, saving formats, and you can choose your destination. For example, if I want to have it on a desktop, I'll click on desktop and say, maybe I want to create a folder. In a folder, I can name it graphics and illustration. Okay, open up that folder. Secondly, right now I've chosen our destination, where I need our work to go. That's the first thing. I created a folder on desktop and open that folder. That means our work is heading to that folder. I'll come to file name and click there. It is usually, by default, it is usually untitled because I haven't given it a title yet. Maybe that's what they meant. We'll give our work a name, say graphics and illustration. After giving it a name, we'll come to save as type. There are different types, different formats in which you can save, you can have your work saved. The default way, or the normal way, or the software way of saving Illustrator files, you'll see it's even the option showing Adobe Illustrator. However, there are so many options down here, but Adobe Illustrator is the default way of saving its own documents. So we'll click on Adobe Illustrator. The save as type will save as Adobe Illustrator. However, you can come and save as PDF. There is EPS. There is Illustrator template. There is SVG compressed. All of these are editable. You can edit these. These are all editable formats. However, the commonly used formats are Adobe Illustrator or Illustrator PDF or Adobe PDF. To save it as a PDF document. So at this point, we're going to save as Adobe Illustrator, and we say save. It will bring this mini window that has this. Just proceed and say okay. So right now, up here in this document, at first it didn't have a name. It was named as untitled. Right now you can see here, it is graphics and illustration, the name that we gave it, and RGB mode that we chose. So we've saved our document. And if you are to check in the folder where we saved, you can still get it there. Where's that folder? It's graphics and illustration. Now click on it. Our file is here. So that means even if power goes off, we can have our file saved. You can proceed. At least we are working with a saved document, not a demo document. So we'll begin with some tools here. Just a minute. Adobe Illustrator, as the software, it works mainly with the tools that you need to create. I'll take you through the tools panel. We have tools here that we can use to create our illustrations or drawings or diagrams or text or designs, whatever you want to create. Oh, I didn't explain to you what graphics and illustrations means. You always hear people say, I'm a graphics designer, the graphics is not good. Everything graphics, graphics. Graphics is basically, in a simple understanding, is basically a mixture of text, images, icons, patterns, video, audio. That is all graphics. The way someone plays around with the text, the way someone plays around with the colors, someone plays around with the patterns, and all that. So a combination of all that is graphics. So if someone told you they're a graphics designer, or they're trying to do a graphic, that means they are going to play around with images and text and color, pattern, all that. So we have some, I'm going to introduce to you some commonly used tools in graphics designing. Hope you're following. Are we still on the same track as we're going to start the main bit of it?
Yes, we are. Only that your voice, your sound is sketchy. Some of
Maybe the device I'm using, the headsets I'm using, it's the only option I have.
Okay, you can continue, sir.
But I think we're all listening. So we're going to create some basic shapes. And in that sense, I would love to start mainly with the tools, the shapes tool is what I'm going to start with, because the rest make changes or adjust this tool mainly. So we have this tool here. Hope you're all seeing it. It is by default showing a rectangle, but when you click and hold, you're seeing a little triangle here, down here, drop down button. There are so many tools inside that. When you click and hold, it will lead you to some other more options of the default tools, the default shapes rather, that Illustrator has. We'll click on it once at first, the rectangle tool. When we click on it, we'll come to the blackboard or the artboard. This white space is where everything yours is done. Is the space you gave the software to create to create all your artwork inside there. When you click on the rectangle tool, any tool that you click on here, you will see that it becomes darker than any of these, showing that it is activated. So we've activated our rectangle tool, and we'll click and drag, click, hold, and drag to create a rectangular shape. It can be a rectangle, it can be a square, depending on how you do this. Let me do this again. Control Z. We are going to click on it, activate it, click and hold and drag. So at this point, I'm not pressing anything on the keyboard. I'm only pressing the mouse. I'm left clicking on the mouse and holding and dragging. So which means I can move this shape to any size, to any distance that I want, depending on what I want exactly. When I release, that is when it will create this rectangle. So I've created a rectangle, as you're saying. And how do I create a square using the same tool? I can create a square using the same tool by clicking on it. At this point, I'll hold Shift while clicking. I hold Shift, click and drag. You see, it is giving me equal sides of the. It is giving me equal sides of the shape to create a square. When I release, you see, it is even showing me that the width is 7.4436 and the height is 7.4436, meaning that it is a square. It is unequal with equal sides. So I'll first put this aside. Let's deal with the rectangle first. That is the first option. I've created a rectangle. I don't know how long it is, but if I want to create a rectangle and I want to know the height, the length and width of the rectangle, what do I do? At first, I clicked on it and let me delete this. At first, I clicked on it, clicked and drag to create a rectangle. But how do I create a rectangle which I want to know its the length and width? I'll click on this. Instead of clicking here, instead of clicking and dragging like this, I'll click my mouse just once to bring me that mini window of the rectangle. It will show you. You feed in the width and the height that you want, specific width and height that you want. So at this point, I will say I want a rectangle of 6 centimeters by 4 by 2. And I say, okay, to create it. So at least you know this rectangle is 6 by 2. Even if you come up here to transform, you'll see that it's 6 centimeters by 2 centimeters. Okay, so we've created our rectangle. We have a square here. I'll try to make this smaller. In case, I don't know, someone may ask, how am I scaling this? This was big. You've seen how I scaled it. Someone may ask, how am I scaling this? To scale this, remember you've created it, now you want to resize it. It might be big and you want to make it a little bit smaller. You just grab any of the corners. You'll see how the cursor changes. When it's the
Excuse me, Jalil.
Yes, please.
I'm just inquiring, can't I use these center points to adjust the size? Like in the other Word document where we design.
Those ones.
Yes. Can I use them to adjust?
I'm going to show you how they react when you use these. So
okay.
When I try to adjust the size using these center points, it will pull that side that it will lengthen that side that you're pulling from. It will lengthen the side that you're pulling from. This. But what happens when I grab from the corners? When I grab from the corners, it will take this side and this side to take them at the same time. You see? Why is it better to adjust from the corners? It's because you're adjusting more than one side at the same time. And
time saving in simple terms.
Yeah, it's time saving. And if I do this without pressing any key on the keyboard, my shape will lose its original shape. Let me say like that. It was a square like this having equal sides, but if I try to scale it and without pressing any key on the keyboard, you'll see that I'm not perfect. I'm pulling it this I'm pulling this and it is no longer a square because this is becoming taller, this is shorter. So what do we do if I want to make this bigger but remain a square? To scale but retain to retain the size of the shape, you'll have to press shift as you're dragging any of these corners. When you press shift, I'm pressing shift right now, and drag any of these corners, you'll see that it is adjusting, but all sides is still equal. And it is showing me here in these units that are moving when I'm scaling. It is showing that the width is 6.88 and the height is 6.88 still. Because I'm pressing shift, it is retaining the square that I wanted, but it is just making it bigger. I want it to be a square but bigger because I'm pressing shift. And it is if I press shift and alt, then drag, click and drag, you'll see that this time around it is making it bigger, but from all corners. Has anyone understood that? At first I was scaling it, but from one corner without pressing any key, and it was free. It was making it bigger, and on one side bigger, one side smaller. Secondly, I clicked and dragged while pressing shift, and it was giving me an equal size on all corners, but moving towards the direction where I was pulling it from. That's the difference between pressing shift, not pressing shift, and pressing shift with alt. So at this point, I'm pressing shift only. It is scaling, but from this corner where I'm holding it. Now I'm pressing shift and alt. I want to scale it. This time around, it is scaling it from all corners. Meaning I'm just making it bigger, but remaining in that very position. Okay, so we've seen that what the rectangle looks like. A simple rectangle, simple. If I went in the newer versions of Illustrator, basically Illustrator right now, the newest I think is CC 2022. This one I'm using CC 2018. Because why? Yeah, because to me there are no new features that require me to use the latest software. Besides, they require a lot of space, and they do more or less the same thing with the old ones. And I think from Illustrator CC and above, when I click on this rectangle, it will bring more points. You will see more points. You'll be able to see some points on the lines of this rectangle. There are these circular points that are inside the rectangle. You can use this to create roundness.
Excuse me, Jalil.
Yes, please.
I see you have changed the ratio, the artboard ratio.
Yeah,
from
I'm zooming
100
in.
to 300.
I'm zooming in.
How has that one come?
Hey, so when using computer, or when you can zoom in your blackboard. In case you're not seeing things closely, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. So basically, I do this by pressing Alt on your keyboard and the scroll button. When you press Alt and scroll, when you scroll outside, you'll see that the artboard is becoming smaller and smaller. So if you want to zoom in, you just still press Alt and scroll like that to make your artboard bigger.
Well, thank you, sir. What about if you have a mouse which does not have the other place you can scroll?
The scroll, eh? Now
Yeah.
we have, yeah, that's a good question. I like it. I actually like it. We have a zoom tool here. You're seeing the zoom tool down here. This zoom tool can be used to zoom in and out of the artboard. When I press using the zoom tool like this, it will keep on zooming in my artboard. Zoom in, it will zoom in, it will zoom in. Even if you come down here down here in the bottom left corner, down here where you're saying 600, I can adjust my artboard from here. The upper you go, the closer your artboard becomes. The lower you go, the more distant it goes. So I'll reduce this. When I reduce this, you will see how it reacts. Let me first get out of the zoom tool. Come back here. So right now at 200, 150, you see that it's moving outwards. So when you want it to fit on screen, you come to fit on screen. So that means you're seeing the whole of your artboard in the screen. Seeing it. There is also another option up here. Another option up here. You go to view. When you go to view, you will see fit artboard in window. When you say fit artboard in window, to fit it 100%. However, even if you minimize this, minimize the software, and you want to see the whole of your artboard in the software, and you go to view and say fit artboard in window, still bring it, the whole of it, and it fits. So you can still come here and say zoom in, to zoom in the artboard. Go to view, say zoom in.
Excuse me, Jalil, you are too low now.
I'm too low. Okay. Let me try to sit upright and get the voice back to normal. So I think you've seen how we zoom in and zoom out the artboard. Remember the computer might be, depending on your screen size, you may not be able to see some of the things. If, for example, if I have my rectangle here, some of them might be too small. It might be too small like that, and you want to clearly see it. So you can always zoom in and out. There are so many options of zooming in. These softwares have so many options of, so many ways of doing things. So I've showed you how to zoom in and out using the alt and scroll button. I've showed you how to zoom in from here, choosing the digits here and fitting on screen. I've showed you how to zoom in, going to view, and you've seen that, view, zoom in, zoom out. Then there's also another option of control. You press control on your keyboard and minus. Control minus is zoom out. Then control plus is zoom in. That is also another way of zooming. Then control 0 is fit artboard to window. In case you've zoomed out and you want to easily have your artboard to be clearly seen, you'll press control 0. And it will come back to where you can see everything from. So back to the shapes. We are still drawing some shapes. We have our rectangle here. I'm going to give it a stroke. A stroke is like a body line. This, stroke, you know this, people who have used Microsoft Word, and the size of the stroke, the thickness, and you can adjust it from here. You can make it big or small. We'll first keep it to 1, and make our rectangle a bit bigger. So we're going to look at how to give these colors, but let me show you more shapes. You come back to this tool. We have a rounded rectangle. This is a right angled. This is a right angled rectangle. You can see the edges are sharp. Edges are sharp, 90 degrees. However, we can have a rectangle that has round corners. That is possible in so many ways. We can adjust from the newer versions of Illustrator. This rectangle can be changed to a round corner rectangle by using these 4 circular dots that are saying inside the rectangle. You can click on any of these and pull inside. When you pull inside, you can see how our edges are softening to create something circular. So you can adjust from this, make it smaller, make it bigger. I'm having challenges with my mouse. Let me try to see if it happens. Okay. So let's take this back to the right angle rectangle. However, if you can't do that, like from the old versions of Illustrator, CS6, CS5, we have a rounded corner, rounded rectangle tool, which creates it with round edges. Instead of creating it from here, you can have it automatically like that. You can put this aside as well. So these corners, you can adjust them still by getting the rounded corner rectangle tool. Come and just click in space here to show you the width and the height that you want, the corner radius that you want, and just adjust this, put in maybe 8 and say okay to get it using the corner that you want. Or you can just come and adjust any size that you want. If it is a square, you can even turn it into a circle, still using that way. Press this, making the corners round, turning it into a circle. So we've seen the rectangle. Seen that. Let me first keep this. Let's go back to our shape tool. We have an ellipse. Ellipse is a circle, oval, anything circular. Anything circular can come from that. When you choose ellipse tool, come and click without touching any button on the keyboard to have your oval done. You can rotate this from the corners. You can put it back. Using the ellipse tool while pressing shift helps you to draw a circle. Come to click and hold to enable this. Come click on your ellipse tool. When you click on the ellipse tool, this time around, press shift, click and drag. It is creating a perfect circle. When you're in a rectangle tool and you press shift, it will create a perfect square. When you don't press shift, it will create a rectangle. So we've seen how to create a circle, we've seen how to create a rectangle, we've seen how to create a rounded corner rectangle. This is also a circle which was created from a square. You can take this back, square. Well, the circle, there is a shape here, delete this. We've seen a polygon tool. Many of you will ask, if I want to do a pentagon, if I want to draw an octagon, how do I do that? This polygon tool, it gives you options of doing that. By default, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 sides by default. However, you can reduce or increase on those sizes. You can, let me first give it stroke so that it can be seen also. Right here. This is a polygon tool. So what happens if I want more sides, more than this? Maybe if I want 8 or 12, I'll click on this tool, come here, instead of clicking and drag, I'll click, just click. It will ask you the radius of your polygon. Secondly, the sides that you want to have. In this case, I want to have 12 sides, and I want to make it maybe 2 centimeters, okay? And I press okay. It will draw it automatically. So you see how you're saving time here. These can be many. They can even turn it to as perfect as a circle. They can be many, depending on the size you want to, depending on the sides that you want to add there. So you can even draw a triangle using this tool, this polygon tool. How? Remember, we're not having a triangle here. So we'll use the polygon tool to come, click, and say, we want 3 sides this time around. We want 3 of those. So that's our triangle. We have our 12-sided shape. We need a star. There's a star tool. We'll come and click. By default, it will give you 5. Remember, when you want to change the sides, you click, get that tool, come and just click without dragging. To bring that mini window there, give the radius and choose the points that you want. My star, maybe I want it to have 8, 10. And you press OK, so we'll give you that star. Perfectly done. And so for now, we have the basic shapes that we need. Any shape that you would like to create that is not among these, I'm going to show you the tools that you can use to create that shape. We've seen so far, this is the tool that we've only seen so far, the shape tools. It is called shape tools because it has rectangle, ellipse, and polygon, most of the basic tools. So we've seen that. I'm going to introduce you to another tool. I'm going to introduce to another tool, the selection tool. You've seen me click on this so many times when I'm trying to move these, when I'm trying to show that this to highlight. For example, right now I'm highlighting the circle. I'm using the selection tool. Selection tool is used to select anything that is in your artwork. Anything that is in your artwork. Okay. Right now I'm selecting the circle. In case I want to modify or adjust anything on my circle, I'll use the selection tool to select that particular object that I want. Right now I'm selecting the circle. I want to give it color. For now, you're seeing all of them white or colorless because our background is also white. But how do we turn these into different colors? I've selected my circle. I'll come down here. You're seeing fill this white the white square. There are 2. There is one in white. There is one in black. By default, they will be like that at first, but you can change these. You might find another software having blue, green here. This is a pink. This is yellow. It is the user that changes them. So right now it is in white, meaning our shape is filled with white, with a white color, and the one behind is the stroke. The stroke, like I told you, is the body line. The stroke is the body line that's higher. The bigger the stroke, the one up here, what we increased. Right now I'm showing our stroke is 1 point. So far we've seen the tools, tools. We've seen selection tool. Now we are seeing color. We've seen stroke. Let me try to increase its stroke, the circle's stroke, and you see how it reacts. It is on 1. Let me make it a bit bigger, maybe to 5. So I'm giving it a bigger stroke, and it's a bit bold compared to these other shapes. So I'm going to give it a different color. I'll come to color and click on this, double click on this. When I double click on that, you will see Illustrator will bring you a mini window having different colors here. This is where we choose our color from. You will see the mini window is named color picker. You can choose by moving, by clicking. and moving your cursor to anywhere you want, to any color here. You can move it here from a deep red, maybe to a black. Whenever where you move the cursor is what is shown here, is the color that is shown here. So this is the previous color and current color. It is showing a maroon here, it is showing an original red here. So when I come in this and say, maybe I don't want in reds, I want in pinks. And I click on pink to change to pink here, and I'll change to any contrast of the pink that I want. I'll move to blue. I'll move to green. I'll move to yellow. I'll move to orange. Trust me, all the colors are here. If you know the color codes, colors also have codes. If you know the codes, you can easily come and fill in here. For example, white, if it is white in color codes here, white is F throughout. Maybe like they're like 5 Fs or what. When filling that, it will show you F. So from the, can fill in the color codes here, maybe 1, 2, C, F, E. And just leave it, see, it has changed. The color code that you feed in here, depending, it is usually a combination of digits and letters, maybe 745 KL, that. That one does not exist. That's why it has not changed. Maybe 1CA, 2A3. You say, click aside. So if someone gave you color codes of their brand, you'll just come and feed them in here. Maybe FFA 500. And that is their orange. You feed in the color code and that orange shows up. So after choosing the color that you want, we are just going to say, okay. And our shape will change according to the color we've chosen. This stroke is remaining black because we haven't chosen the color of the stroke. Right now it is showing fill is orange. What about the stroke is black? So if you want to change the color, the stroke color, you can just come and click on this to make the stroke appear on top and double click on it. Come here and choose the stroke color, maybe to pink, and say, okay. So it will adjust using the stroke. And there is a small button here, a small swap button. This swap button is used to change colors from stroke to fill, from fill to stroke. If I click on this, what was on fill will go to stroke. What was on stroke will go to fill. So I could just click on this button to interchangeably to change the colors. If I want the stroke to be pink, I'll just click on that to make the stroke pink. So I've shown you how to choose colors, how to put colors on our shapes. This is the same procedure for the square, same procedure for all these. You can give this color as well. You can come and give it different color, maybe a purple. That's okay. And a stroke, give it a bigger stroke. This color, you can even change color from up here. When you click on this drop down button, you'll see some few options of colors. It has some few options of colors that you can choose and apply to your shapes. You can click on this. That means you have to first highlight the object. You cannot see the effect unless you've selected that object. That's the purpose of this selection tool. So you first select the object that you want to apply the effect on and come and give it the color. the stroke as well. Come and click on this, give it a stroke cut. It is not showing because it is too small. The first increase on the stroke size. There we are. So far we've created the shapes, we've given them color, we've seen the selection tool. There is a tool that is almost like closely related to a selection tool. It is called the direct selection tool. You might confuse the two. The direct selection tool is right beside the selection tool. What does it do? It directly selects that object and it makes it editable. For example, if I want to select this square, I'll click on it using my direct selection tool, and I can be able to click on a vertex or a corner or a point of this rectangle. When I click on it, you will see that the rest of these corners are not selected because I've directly selected this point. If I click on this, you will see that it leaves out the rest and it directly selects this. You're seeing this. I've directly selected that point only, and I can only make that point curve. Only make that point curve. The rest cannot curve. Bring it back. I can even directly select that point and say delete. You see that what I've done to the square. So I've deleted this line, this point joining these two lines that were here. Undo. That's the purpose of the direct selection tool. I'm going to introduce to you another useful tool for creating irregular shapes. Maybe you have a particular shape that you want and it is not there by default. When you look in here, it is not showing and you want to have it. Okay? There is a tool called a pen tool. A pen tool. What the pen tool does, it creates irregular shapes. And how do we use this? When you click on it, come and click. It uses points. Make your first point. When you make your first point, don't click and release. Don't hold. Move to any point, to any other place where you want to put your second point. Click. By this time around, when you release, it will be a straight line. When you click and release, it will be a straight line. To create a straight line, an irregular shape, but with straight lines. However, if I want to create an irregular shape, but with the curved lines, I'll get my pen tool and click on it. Click on it, and when creating the second point, I'll click and drag. Make a curve. Make a curve. And I'll proceed like that. You click and drag. When you don't drag, it will create a straight line like it has done here. Like it has done here. So let me undo and click and drag. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. As you can see, it is only giving me options of. It is giving me options. I'm not really flexible with the curve. Reason being, there is something I'm missing out and I'm going to show it to you. So I'm clicking and dragging to create an irregular shape and later come back and join from the first point that you began with to cover up that shape. Then go back to selection tool. So I've created a path, an irregular shape with using pen tool. I want to show you how to, in case you following a shape. For example, I'll get, let me see if I have something here. I have something here. Something that I need. Okay, Let me introduce this picture. I'll import this. Oh, it is really big. So I need to scale it out. It is bigger than my artboard. I want to scale it out. I'll press Shift and Alt, then click on one of the corners and make it small. This is an image. Right now I've imported it. I haven't shown you how to import pictures, but that is an option. That is a way of importing pictures. You can go to Window and click on the picture. Click on the picture and bring it to Illustrator and import it. Drop it there. That's a way of importing it. So there are so many ways, but that's one of the ways. So in the meantime, I wanted to show you how the pen tool works. I might have a shape like this one. These edges of this gentleman here, Mr. Elon Musk. I can use the pen tool to draw over it in case I want to have that very shape. I'm clicking to create the curves on his shirt. But as you can see, it is instead forming this curve, which I do not want. I want it to curve inwards like this. Inwards without this other curve pointing outwards. So what will I do? I'll create my first point, come here, click and drag, press Alt, click in the middle of this to break that. You click in the middle of that to break that. Then come to another point, create the curve, break. Come to another point, do that. Alt, break. Press another point, proceed like that. And I'll take this on until when I'm done with this image right here. To use the pen tool, it takes some time. It takes some time to come up with such a drawing using the pen tool. However, I just need to get used to it and see how it does. See how to. It's covering up. I need to first. Okay. Press Alt. Come. And work on this. I'm going to just rush through it because I want us to proceed and we are time bad. I want us to proceed. I want you to first draw this guy. Undo. Pen tool. And draw this guy. I have to zoom in. That's the purpose of zooming in and out because you want to clearly see the details. So I'll have to zoom in and see exactly where to place my other point. Create this, create. I want to create an outline of this gentleman here. It's going to be a bit rough because I'm doing it really fast. And come and cover up the hair and ears. Then come back and join our first point. So I'll put this guy aside and come and select this. Give it a black because it is white in color. We can't see the stroke. So I want to name the stroke black to show us that. So I've created an outline of this gentleman here using the pen tool. That's how useful the pen tool is. You can create irregular shapes and come up with any shape that you want. So we've quickly done the guy. We've seen the pen tool and how it works. Let me put this guy aside. However, there is also another way, a short form, rather a shortcut of coming up with something like this. For example, if you've downloaded your picture from the internet, like this ball, let's get a ball here, pick a ball here and download it, save. This is a web file, I need a JPEG. Need something that won't take us long. There's one I downloaded already. Let me check down here. Okay, let's get our ball and drag it in Illustrator. Drag it in Illustrator. Okay. It is really big, depending on the size of your artboard that you chose. Different objects will have different sizes. So if you want to make it fit in your artboard, you scale it down. Scale it down, put it here. I'm going to have to delete some of this so as to have enough space. And this gentleman here, oh, we had to do this. Let me group this and move this gentleman up here. This shape that you've created, you can even give it color. You can give it color. And any shape can have color. Even if it's a default shape or you've created it yourself, you can give it color. So you can pick a color and give it a color. There is a reason it is showing this because there are two lines and I've not yet joined them. I'm going to show you how to join them. But in the meantime, let me show you how to quickly have a downloaded picture and turn it into an illustration. For example, this is a downloaded ball that I downloaded and I want to turn it into an illustration. I'll click on this ball, come up here. Let's see, up here, where is this? Okay, let me first keep this down. I'll come up here to image trace. I want to trace this ball. So I'm going to say image trace. Tracing image proceeds slowly with this email. Would you like to continue? I'll just say okay. And it's quite a strong process and it will take long depending on the speed of your computer, but you give it some time to work on that. Because it is turning an image into an illustration. So you're seeing that this image, it was a realistic image in the first place. At this point, it is looking more of a drawn image because it has been turned into an illustration. I'll come up here, I'll click on it and come up here and say expand. After image tracing, after saying image trace, I'll come and say expand. And I say expand, then give it some time. When you say expand, this image, the one that was a ball, it has been turned into an illustration, a drawn illustration, fully editable. You can see now it is fully editable. When I right click and say ungroup this, you will see that I can separate this, have this, delete this, release compound path. You can see that it was an image, but right now they are irregular shapes. It is an illustration that has been done. And I can turn it into anything that I want. I can turn it into anything that I want. Okay. So now let's go to this guy here. Undo. Let's undo the process. Okay, maybe you can leave it like that. Okay, so it has been turned back into an image. So let's try out this guy here. This is an image. Let's try out this gentleman here. Elon Musk with his Twitter. Let's say image trace Elon Musk. Let's give it some time and see what happens. Image tracing is not so perfect. It's not so perfect, but at least it gives you a pretty close. You can see now, right now, he looks pencil drawn. He looks to be pencil drawn. Let me say expand. So you can see that you can fully edit this gentleman and turn him into anything that you want. You can give him color. You can give Elon Musk color. Trying to let's try to give him a better color. Maybe let's choose. So I guess we are following and we are seeing how to quickly turn some of these shapes into editable shapes that we can make changes on and customize them, make them literally ours. Literally ours. So what else? I've shown you how to. Let's proceed. Let's proceed to the tools panel. So far we've seen selection tool, we've seen direct selection tool, we've seen what the pen tool does. We've seen the pen tool has so many other tools inside here that have different abilities, like add anchor points. On this one, add anchor point basically means if I click on this, you will see that these points are called anchor points. The one that I clicked while creating these called anchor points. So add anchor point tool is the one, the pen tool that has a plus on it. It is add anchor point tool. It basically means adding more points on your shape, more points. I can click anywhere to add more points, and using the direct selection tool, I can come and adjust these points to make my shape either rugged or smoother, whatever I want. Whatever I want. Whatever I want. I can come back and click on this, make it. We have delete anchor point. It does the reverse. Removes anchor points. For example, that point and say remove anchor point. Remove anchor point. Come to this, say remove anchor point. So as you can see, I'm trying to create basic shapes. Let me hurry up and go to the text tool. You have a text tool here. Now we've seen how to create shapes, giving them color. Now putting text in our tools. The text tool, as soon as you click on it, I'm going to be a little bit fast because of the time. I've delayed a bit. The text tool, when you click on it, you'll come to the artboard. Click here. By default, it will bring you that word, lorem ipsum. That's the default word that comes with the software, a word that you can change. That you can change. You can, when you click on that, to bring that, but you can just start typing to create your word that you want, any word that you want. Graphics and illustration. So I have my text here. Any tool that I want to leave, if, for example, if I'm in a text tool and I want to leave the text tool, I'll have to go back to the selection tool. Because if I remain in the text tool and I continue clicking, it will keep on creating more text, which I don't want. Even if I was in the maybe rectangle tool and I kept on clicking, it will continue disturbing me, bringing more rectangles, which I don't want. So whenever you're getting rid of that tool, whenever you're tired of that tool, you have to go back to the selection tool and get rid of that. Let me delete this. Those text. So text, we have text rather type tool for creating a text, and when you look up here at the top of the software, you can see where you can change the font from. Computer will be responding depending on the number of fonts you have. You can choose a font from here. Illustrator gives you an option of choosing a font from a different class. There are several classes of fonts, and for example, if I say I want script, it will bring me only fonts that have script. It will bring me fonts that have script, that are script. Let's say I click on that, you'll see that my font has changed. Remember, anything that you want to make a change on, you first have to highlight it. This one changed because it's the one that I had highlighted using my selection tool. If I wanted to change this, I would click on it. Click on it. It's becoming a bit slow. This is locked. Okay, so I'll click on this and change its font to any other font. I'll come to change the style. Several fonts have several styles. Some of them have only regular, but you find some fonts like this. You know this for people who have used Microsoft Word and any other basic softwares. At least you know how to find a font and the style, choosing the style. Certain fonts have, for example, if I have.
Excuse me, Jalil.
Yes, please.
Maybe before I leave this meeting, I want to just find out.
Yes, please.
Is there a big difference between this tool and the publisher?
This software. I'm not getting your question. I'm not getting your question.
Is there a big difference between this software, Adobe Illustrator, and then the publisher?
Adobe Illustrator is way too advanced compared to publisher, Microsoft Office Publisher. Adobe Illustrator can do a lot. This what I'm showing you is maybe not even a quarter. This is something pretty small. There are so many, there is a number of tools here that we can, so many of them. It has so many effects, it has so many abilities, and it is very free. It is not very limited that. Anyways, Adobe Publisher and Illustrator, Publisher cannot do not even a quarter of what Illustrator does. To me, according to me. So we are on type, the type tool. We've chosen our font, we've chosen our font style, we've chosen the font size. By default here it's showing 72, but you can fill in any number here, you see the number I fill in, it is making the font literally bigger. So I can just scroll to make the font smaller. Let's make it maybe 20. This is font. We've seen something to do with font. We have paragraph here, just like in any other software. Align left, align center, align right, justify with last line. This is the same as in Word. We have transform. This is align. We have align. We are aligning on the artboard or aligning our work. We use this. There's a difference between paragraphing and aligning. When I say, you'll see what happens to this text when I click on any of these. We have align, horizontal, align left. When I click on it, you'll see that it takes it on the left, on the extreme edge, the extreme left. You'll see when I click horizontal line, say that will take it in the center of our artboard. Center. That means vertically it is in the center. If I want to put it horizontally in the center as well, I'll come, rather this is horizontally, I want to put it vertically in the center as well, I'll come to, this is right, this is left. You can see how the text is changing. This is left, center, right. This is align top, it is moving at the top. This is center, this is bottom. So if I want to have this text in the very, very center of my artboard, I'll click, I'll first horizontally align it center, then vertically align it center. So it is in the very, very center of my artboard. However, I can manually move this to anywhere I want, but I can't tell if this is the center or not. That is why this aligner button is there. Distribute objects. If I have, should I go to this really? Time. I've shown you basically how basic aligning works. And okay, let me first go into distribute a little bit. If I have various texts like this, let me delete some of this. Delete this. If I want to align this all together, I'm going to select both of these, come to align and say align, horizontal line, center. You'll see that it automatically brings all of them in the center. When I say horizontal line, vertical line, center, it will bring all of them on the same line. They're here, all of them in the same line. Let's not sleep on to align. Let's go to check out things like envelope, making. Let's look at things that are distorting our text. Let's look at things like distorting our text. I've selected this. And I went to, just a minute, let me cancel this, take it back. So I've selected this text. I went to make envelope up here. I've clicked on that and it brought me that mini window. So I want to distort my text. The options up here, options like arc lower, flag. You can see how the text is reacting. I can increase the bend. It is a bit tedious to the computer as it makes the changes depending on the kind of RAM that you have and the strength of the computer. So you can adjust the bend and reduce on it as it shows you here, vertically, horizontally. You can distort your text here and make something there a little bit playful. You can see how this text is reacting and you say, okay. So I've shown you that. So there's another thing I want to show you about text. Still about distorting text. I'm trying to make my text bigger. You might be wondering how I've made it bigger. I've clicked Shift and clicked on one of the corners here to scale, make the text bigger. However, I can come up here and feed in a specific okay. Scratching noise. I believe someone is on. Someone try mute the mic. Okay. Sorry. Let's proceed. I have my text here, but I want to text and shapes. You get all the color from here. If I want to change this color, I'll still come and double click on that. Come pick any color I want, press OK. And it will change. So what happens if I want to distort my text? Right now, they are grouped. I can only make them bigger by increasing all of them or reducing all of them. But what happens if I want to make the P longer? What happens if I want to make the I smaller? What happens if I want to make the O blue? I'll come to type up here and I say create outlines. When I say create outlines, it will make my text editable. So when I click aside, I'll come back and click on my text. I can make changes on this text. How? Right now it is like a path. It is like a shape. It is text, but it's like a shape. I've made it editable. I can right click and say ungroup the text. I come and select the P alone. I come and select the U alone. Put it back. I can make the P longer. I will use my direct selection tool. Click on it. It will show me all the vertices that are in the P. It will show me, when I click on S, it will show me all the vertices that are on S. So I can come and say that I want to make my P longer. Highlight only those points and move downwards. So this is how come up with regular shapes from text. You've basically seen distorted text in designs. You've seen distorted text in newspapers. I want to make my O a bit bigger. I'll go back to selection tool and I'll select it as a whole. Then reduce on it. Bring the L, maybe trying to make something impressive. Use my direct selection tool. Maybe select that portion and pull the L up and bring this down. So I'm trying to make fancy text look the way I want it. I can even turn it. Even turn this. I can make this black. Press of our cancel. That's okay. I can select this. So distorting our text from the way it was, and this is applicable to all text. I can even get this, and right now I can only make it. I can't click on a single letter. But if I want to do that, I'll go to type, say create outlines, and say right click to ungroup, and I can pick in a single text. Do that, make different color. You've seen the tool I've used. So I've distorted the text. Let's proceed to what? Let's proceed to another tool. We've seen the selection tool, we've seen the selection tool, we've seen pen tool, we've seen text type tool. In type, there are so many options of type tool. We have the commonly used ones are type tool. We have vertical type tool. The one that you'll see when I click on it, it changes the cursor to vertical. And when I click, it can only write moving from up to down. It can only move from down to up. That's the purpose of the vertical type tool. In case you want to write vertically, that's of the vertical type tool. We have a type on path, but type on path tool. Type on path tool, for example, this is a path and I want to put text onto it. I'll use type on a path tool and come and click anywhere on this path. And you'll see what happens. The whole line will be filled with text. I'm going to select it and make it smaller. So I'll say this. Make it smaller, and start delete. Say this is created by a pen tool. Yep. This is a curve created by a pen tool. So we are on text. We are dealing with text. We've seen how to create text. We've seen the type tool, the first option, creating this text and typing. We've seen the vertical type tool, this text, typing vertically. We've seen type on a path tool, typing on a path, and it's typing on a path. So each type has its own way of it has where it works basically. Back to text, we can go to type. This option here basically deals with type. You can go to type, you'll find that most of the options here, we have them here, like options like font, recent fonts, font size, change case, we haven't seen that, uppercase. When you click uppercase, it will automatically turn your text into uppercase. When you say type and change case, title case, it will automatically change the first letter of your any word into capital letter. Sentence case to make the first letter of the sentence a capital. We've seen create outlines, we've seen basically that. And what next? What other tool? Let's go to the line tool. We have a line tool here. We've seen lines, but all these lines were created in the shapes. This was a rectangle, this was a square, this was a polygon, this was a star. But how do you, in case you want to create it from scratch, like using a line, get your line tool, come and click. Line tool will help you to create. It is not showing because it has no stroke. It has no stroke. So line tool will help us to create lines. Maybe you need to have a line somewhere and you want to draw a line like inside here, you can use a line tool. It creates a line on all angles. But if you want it to be a straight one, like in a particular angle, you'll have to press shift. For example, here I want it to be on a 0 degree. I'll press shift. I'm pressing shift. That's why you see when I'm moving the cursor, it is not moving to any point. Unless if I force it this way to move it to a 45, if I force it this way to move it to a 90, like that. But if I don't press shift, it will be free. So when I press shift, it will be either 45, 0, 45, 90, 75, 100, 80, something like that. Okay. Let's delete this. We've seen a line tool, we've seen arc. Arc is basically an arc. You click and drag to create an arc. But remember, we created something like similar to that using a pen tool here. So most of these tools do almost the same thing. A pen tool can create an arc. You can get an arc. Then we have a tool created by an increase its stroke. Increase its stroke. Okay. So we've seen an arc, we've seen there is a spiral, it will be spiral still. Let's go to which other tool? So we saw how to create, how to fill text. We saw how to fill text in our shapes. But in case, what happens when your shape has 2 or more colors? How do you deal with that? Now we have a gradient tool, one for filling several colors. If I click on, let's say, this rectangle here, and I say click on gradient tool. When I click on gradient tool, I will look here from this side. Down here, we have some gradients by that come with the Illustrator by default. Down here, where the colors are, we have some gradients here. There is that white and black. There is orange and yellow. There is blue and white. There is black and white. There is foliage. There is patterns, something like that. There are some default gradient colors. But what happens when we want to adjust our gradient? I'll come to the gradient. I'll first select the object which I want to apply the gradient on, and click on the gradient tool. Then I'll come on this right side. Click on this gradient. This is a tool, gradient tool, then this is the gradient panel. Gradient panel that will show you how to adjust and change your gradients here. So if you see, if I come in and click inside here, it will show me different points, different colors. Each of these is representing a different color. We have this one representing black. We have this one representing colorless. This is a colorless color. I don't know which color it is because the opacity is on 0. Opacity, I believe it's quite a new term, but opacity in Illustrator is like color intensity. Is it on 0 or 100%? As you see, as you can see, when I'm making a change here on the opacity, you can see how the color reacts here. How the color reacts here. I'm trying to increase our opacity. So it is a black, but it was reduced its opacity. It had been reduced. So I'll first delete this, the one in the middle. I'm having black on either sides, but I want to have a gradient. I want to have a different color. I'll come and click on this. Double click on that. Come here, choose a different color, maybe a yellow. Then click on this. Come here, choose a different color, maybe an purple, maybe an orange. Yeah. When I click on that, so I can move this small diamond up here. It will adjust where the yellow stops and where the orange stops. When I move it on the side of the orange, it was taking yellow to the side of the orange. When I move it this side, it's taking orange to the side of the yellow. So if you want to balance it out, you can keep it in the middle or say put location to 50. If I want to introduce in a third color, I'll press this button here and press Alt and bring in a third color. So it hasn't brought another color because I haven't chosen a color. I've brought another small tab, small color icon here, but I haven't given it a different color. So I'll click on it and say, give it, let's say, red. So you can see how our object is getting different colors. You can apply as many colors as possible. You can apply as many colors as possible. So it basically has very many colors. If you want to delete one, you click on it and say delete. Click one and say delete. Then press it. You can even move them to where you want and it will change here accordingly. There is reverse gradient here. I can click on this icon to change what was this side to move it this side. What was here to move it here. To basically reverse. As you can see, when I click on it, you can see what happens here. Okay, so we've seen gradient, we've seen we need now the eyedropper tool. Eyedropper it basically copies from one point to another. If I want, for example, if I want to this polygon here, I want to paint it exactly this color, this the brownish color. I'll use my I'll first select the polygon, use my eyedropper tool, click on it, and come and click on this color to automatically copy whatever is here to here. Copy whatever this color has to here. If I click on this, it will automatically copy that color. If I click on this, it will automatically copy that black. If I click on this, it will automatically copy that. If I click on white, it will automatically. So the eyedropper copies color from one point to another. But what you do is you select the object which you want to receive the color first. You select on this, maybe this object. The object which you want to receive colors is what you select on. Then get your eyedropper and come to the color that you desire. Click on it, you will see that object receives that color. So we'll see the hand tool. Hand tool helps us to pan. It basically holds your artboard or blackboard and moves it through where you want. In case you want to see this corner, you use the hand tool and click and drag. You see it holds, clicks and drags to where you want it to be. Okay, back to the selection tool. Any feedback so far? Hello?
Yes, Jalil.
Yes, please.
I think we are beyond time.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm going to run through, just give me like 5 minutes. I'm going to show you some of the main some other things in Illustrator. So we have up here file where we saved our document from. You can still export. I'm going to show you export options. And remember, we were setting up our document in the first place. We were setting up our document as we were opening it up. Now, if you want to still set it up as it's already open, you'll come to document setup and it will bring you the other options of changing units to blah, 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 and stuff like that. Then we leave that. I'll go to, we've seen save, we haven't seen new. So right now, if I have this document open and I want to open a new one, I'm going to go to file. We have this graphics and illustration already open. I'll go to file and say new. So it will take me back to where I was last time, and you set it up accordingly and just press create. You realize that it has created a new project. We have this, the one we've been working with, and we have untitled to the new project. Let's close this for now. We've seen how to create a new project when already working on another project. Create a new project, and let's close this now. So go back to file, we'll say export. So I've done all my illustrations, I've done my designs. I want to export file. I can either save, when I press save, it has saved the project. It is saving. Since there is a lot inside there, it's going to take some time. As saved. Or I can save as, that is if I want to create another copy of this project, or I want to create another format of this project, maybe a PDF. I'll come save as type and save. Then come here, I'll go to, these are PDF options now. I'm saving as PDF. I'll just preserve Illustrator editing capabilities, embed page thumbnails. I'll optimize my PDF for fast viewing. If I want to view the PDF after saving it, I'll click on this and it will automatically open the PDF after saving it. Let's run through this and say save PDF. So it's going to save the PDF. Okay, it has saved the PDF and it is opening it up as you've seen. Since I clicked the other option of save and open, so it has opened it up as a PDF. Let me close this. Okay, so if I want to export this artwork as a JPEG, as a picture, or PNG, I'll go to file, go to export, and say export as. Come here, choose a destination. It's already in that folder. That's the purpose of saving the document as soon as you open it up. So whatever you do, it will take you to that folder that you created. File name is already there that you created in the first place. Then the options here, AutoCAD for those who are doing AutoCAD, the architecture, and you can save AutoCAD drawing file. You can save AutoCAD, you can save BMP. These are all options. So many options here, depending on what you're going to use next. Then we have JPEG, picture, we have Photoshop, PSD, we have PNG. So at this point, I'm going to choose JPEG and say, click this option. If you don't click this option, Illustrator will save whatever is outside this artboard. But if you say artboards, it will save what is inside only that white artboard. It will save only what is inside that artboard. And if you have more than one artboard, you will say range. But for now we have one and it is only showing one. But if you had like 6, you say click on range and say maybe I want it to export the 6th artboard or 5th artboard, and it will do that. So since we have one, we'll say all, we'll leave it all and say export. We'll bring another mini window and say we want RGB mode, quality, increase on the quality depending on what you want. This you can try it out in your free time. And this will leave it to standard resolution. We can either keep it to medium or high, but medium is okay because it's still clear and lighter. Then let's leave it to that, then press OK. So to save the JPEG, and we'll be able to see it when we go to that folder. So you can see our work as JPEG. Here it is. Okay. Back to Illustrator. Back to Illustrator. We have edit here, paste, copy and paste up here. We have check spelling, like check spelling of word, F7. If in case you've messed up any word here, you just come say start and it will bring you any of these. Ignore or change whatever you want. Done. Object. Object, this is type, this is to do with the text, basically to do with the text. Object is basically transformation of these objects. If I have, for example, an object, clicked here, this, and I got object, I can lock it, and when I lock it, you will see that I cannot highlight it anymore. Apart from this line that I drew, you see that I cannot, because I've locked it. I cannot select it because I've locked it. You can lock objects. So this has a lot to do with objects. I'll come back and say unlock all. So there's a lot hide. You can hide it from selection and it goes away. You've seen it, it's hidden. If I want to bring it back, I'll go to object and say show all. It brings back whatever. You can hide as many things as possible. You can select all these and say object, hide, they're hidden. Object, show all, bring them back. Type, select, select to, we go to effect. We have effects like, we go to effects. We have 3D, convert to 3D. Of course, this is a bit heavy and you can try it out in your free time. We have stylize, we have drop shadows, feather, inner glow, outer glow, round corners. You can try out, there are so many effects here. I can try out for you drop shadow on this S that I clicked on, this letter S. I'll make my effects as I want here, but I can't see them unless I check this preview. So it can show you here whatever you're changing. Blur, you can see the change down here as I try to. This is Y offset, X offset, and the opacity of the shadow, mode, normal, and color of the shadow, whatever, black. Then I'll say okay. So effect, I've gone to effect, we've gone to view. This view is basically viewing of the of your artboard, your work. View, we've seen fit artboard in window, we've seen fit all in window, we've seen there's something rulers like rulers in Word. Show rulers, it brings the rulers there. In case you want to use rulers, bring them, you either right click here and say show rulers or hide rulers. Okay, it brings rulers and you can bring in guides on your work. You right click here and say show rulers or hide rulers. They go away. Say show rulers, they come. Window, there's a lot here. We can change our workspace from layout, right away in layout, we can change it to painting, and it changes workspace depending on exactly what you want to do. It changes the interface from window, and you go to workspace, you can change to typography and it will change your interface. So, Mr. Steve, hello. Mr. Steve? Mr. Steve. So I guess we've learned, we've seen the basic usage of Illustrator. We've seen creating shapes. We've seen some common tools. We've seen applying colors. We've seen applying text effects. We've seen image tracing. If you want to get a picture from online and trace it and expand it. We've seen all that. So I think I'm going to call the meeting off from now. I think what we've shared is enough for today. Thank you all for those who have been on up to now. I thank even those who have been able to follow. Any question from our listeners?
I had put a question in the chat about the software.
The software. Okay. Let me answer the question. Let me answer the questions faster.
The question in the chat.
Yes. Let me go through that. Let me go through the software. Let me go through the questions faster. Let me see here. We've seen, do I need data to work with this, to work with Illustrator? Of course, you don't need data. This is a software that relies on itself. The data, you may need it for downloading pictures, downloading things to work with Illustrator, downloading fonts, but the software uses the fonts that are in the computer. You may not necessarily need data. Why is RGB showing a yellow sign? It is because mostly the default settings are usually CMYK, because Illustrator is usually used to design for print, and RGB sometimes has to some settings that have to match to in order to bring out your artwork well. Things like resolution, things like your graphics chip, things like that. So it always has to show you that warning sign. It means there is something lacking. Okay. Can I design something in Microsoft Publisher and re-edit in AI? There are modes. Microsoft Publisher, if you save it as a PDF, Illustrator can edit PDFs. Illustrator can edit PDFs. Illustrator can edit. It can edit basic. Even Microsoft Word. It can edit Microsoft Word document files. It can edit most of the Microsoft Office file types. It can edit them. Can AI software be shared or email so that you can install? That one, you can download it and you can even get it from Mr. Steve. You can get a setup and install it. Install any version that you want. There are so many versions: Illustrator 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017. Depending on the strength of your computer, you can download. You can get the setup. And where do you get this software? Same question. Mr. Steve can help you out. There are softwares you can get from him. Okay, I guess the questions. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for everything. I guess I have to say bye. I don't know if there is any other word from anyone. Mr. Steve, I think he's also off. So I guess we'll call it a day. And let me end the lesson from here. Okay.